Hi, welcome to the Introduction to Traffic Calming, put on by the City of Raleigh and the Neighborhood Traffic Management Program. A lot of you may be wondering, how do we get here tonight? Well, any individual in Raleigh can reach out and request an evaluation for a street to determine if it's qualified for a future traffic calming project. This evaluation process looks at around 5 criteria, including vehicular speeds, crashes, and other unique characteristics to your street. Any street that is identified that has a speed and/or crash issue, they are ranked based on the severity of the need, and all projects are offered using a priority list with a worst come first process. We as staff look to put 10 to 20 traffic calming projects on the ground each year. In this presentation, we want to go over why speed compliance is so important, show the available traffic calming treatments and measures, give the benefits and trade-offs for each different type of traffic calming treatment, go over the project approval process, give a short summary of the design process, and inform you how you can ask questions and engage with those around you. Speed compliance is so important because there's a direct correlation between a driver's speed and the severity of the crash that occurs. This is true for the driver and anyone outside of the car. Raleigh has a goal that all of Raleigh's neighborhood streets are safe, vibrant, and healthy places for residents to live, play, and enjoy. Speed compliant streets are statistically safer places for those individuals inside and outside of the vehicles, and safe streets help foster better condition for Raleigh's neighborhood goals to be achieved. The Institute of Transportation Engineers, or ITE for short, regularly does studies to determine how safe streets are and how speed can impact pedestrian health and safety. As you can see, if a driver is going 20 miles an hour and hits a pedestrian, there's a 90% chance of survival. If that same driver was going 40, there's only a 20% chance. This is why speed compliance is so important throughout the city and especially along neighborhood streets. The ITE put out another great resource that shows your field of view going at different speeds. Slower speeds increase a driver's field of vision, which helps decrease crash rates because drivers can observe more of their surroundings and are more aware of what's going on outside of the vehicle along the sidewalks. When a street is identified as having a speed compliance issue, we have various treatment types and methods to encourage speed compliant driving behavior. Speed humps, speed cushions, and speed tables are 3 great vertical traffic calming treatments that help us achieve that goal. With any traffic calming treatment, there are pros and cons. Some of the pros to vertical traffic calming treatments include that they are very effective when looking at a singular location. Vertical traffic calming treatments have a relatively short installation timeline. And because of the relative compact footprint, there are more placement options available. Some of the cons include that even though they are designed to be driven over at the speed limit, they will be very noticeable when driven over. They are not viable for every street due to some design constraints. And there is an impact to emergency response times, as vertical traffic calming treatments impact all drivers equally. Speed humps typically have an impact of 3 to 5 seconds per location. Speed cushions have a typical impact of around 1 second per location, and speed tables have a typical impact of around 2 to 5 seconds per location. The other form of traffic calming is the horizontal traffic calming treatment. Some great examples include the neighborhood traffic circles, curb bump outs, and chicanes. This style of traffic calming works by forcing drivers to travel in a serpentine path and removing the ability to drive along streets in straight lines. Much like vertical traffic calming treatments, horizontal traffic calming treatments also have pros and cons. Some pros include that there is a greater visible contrast with the road because concrete is used to construct these treatments. Concrete is typically more durable than asphalt, and since you aren't driving over anything but instead through the treatments, the driver experience is typically more fluid. And finally, there is typically less impact to emergency response times, but with any traffic calming project, there will likely be some level of impact. Some cons include that on a location-by-location basis, they are typically less impactful than their vertical counterparts, and they must be used as part of a sequence to be effective. Concrete does take longer to set up and cure before the road can be fully opened back up to vehicular traffic, and finally, they can be harder to place due to streets needing to be a minimum of 31 feet wide to allow for adequate horizontal shifts, and they do impact on-street parking. The ideal traffic calming project is a blend of both horizontal and vertical traffic calming treatments. This blending allows staff to choose the best treatment for the best location to have the best impact. Due to the placement constraints associated with horizontal traffic calming treatments, streets that are less than 31 foot wide or areas with heavy on-street parking utilization, horizontal traffic calming treatments are likely not a viable option and can't be placed. As an action item following this presentation, please review the other presentations and resources that have been provided for you. There's a preliminary traffic calming design meeting presentation that goes into a deeper dive into the preliminary design phase. There's also a video specific to neighborhood traffic circles that we encourage you to review that explains these great traffic calming devices. And finally, please be sure to carefully review your street's individualized presentation and proposed design, where we break down the design process for your street, the conditions identified through the evaluation process, and how we came to the proposed layout. Please be sure to use your street's public input link to ask any questions you may have and to provide any design suggestions. This comment portal is unique to your street and enables us to have a neighborhood-wide conversation about your street's project. After this introductory and preliminary design phase, staff will organize and process all the comments that were provided and update the proposed plan for your street based on the comments to the best of our ability. Once we have completed the updates to your street's traffic calming proposal, we will invite you back for a final design meeting so that you can review the changes, provide additional feedback, and ask any remaining questions that you may have. Immediately following the final design meeting, we will send each neighborhood a ballot asking the question, do you want this project constructed? Please be sure to cast your ballot to let us know if you want to see this project become a reality for your street. For the ballot to be successful, we have a two-tiered approval approach where we gauge those residents living directly on the street and those in about a 2-block radius surrounding the street. For those living along the street, we need to see a minimum approval rating of 70%, and for those living in the neighborhood, we need to see a minimum approval rating of 60%. If both these on-street and neighborhood approval thresholds are met, staff works to move these projects from conceptual to reality as efficiently as possible. It typically takes us around 6 months to do the required survey and construction document preparation activities, and construction will likely take place in the spring and summer of the following year. Participation is key in successful traffic calming projects. Please be sure to submit all questions and comments to the public input comment portal specific to your street, and staff will work to respond to everyone who comments. We're looking forward to hearing from you and working with you on this process.